people in this room, let's turn the lights on first. How many people in this room in 2011 anticipate or expect to do more deals than they did in 2010? Raise your hands real high. How many want to make substantially more money this year than they made last year? Raise your hands real high. My very worthy opponent, sitting right there, handsome young man, told me on a phone call a couple weeks ago that real estate people are not like the people that I train. The people I'm going to be talking to today do not all want to make a lot of money and do more deals. To which I went, shit, excuse me, I'm sorry. So I took out USA Today, and this is January 1st, 2011. It says, 2010, the year we stopped talking. Isn't that interesting? The year we stopped talking. And of course, the reason we stopped talking because we're Twittering, and we're texting, and we're on Facebook. We're doing everything but what the job of a salesperson is. And the job of a salesperson is to talk to people. I'm a salesperson. That's what I do. Now, it appears 10% of you are. Because 90% of you didn't get the message. Now, when a buyer or a seller hires you to list their home or sell them a home, do you anticipate they want somebody that is an aggressive salesperson, which is what our job is, or do they want somebody spending the day on Facebook? Now, I've got to tell you, I work with most of the most productive agents in North America, and they work with their buyers and sellers all day long. We have 3,000 people today in our coaching program. 675 of them last year had the single most productive year of their entire life in 2010 in what was supposed to be a bad marketplace. And these are, thank you. And these are not people that do REO business. These are people doing residential resale business. 1985, I was considered to be highly controversial. 1995, I was considered to be controversial. Here we are today. They called me the old man. They said, you're too old-fashioned. You don't understand today. Watch, I have an iPad. I can receive emails. I get 150 a day. Most of it crap. The same stuff that you guys get. Am I right or wrong? Say yes. Most of that stuff you get is worthless. You know that as well as I do. So 1985, I'm invited to speak at the NAR convention, which NAR for me stands for non-active realtors. Okay? That's what the badge stands for, retarded. I swear that's what it stands for. And if you're wearing one, don't get mad, just cover it up. But I'm invited to speak, and I've got 3,000 agents in the audience I'm speaking to for 2 hours. And it was a lively audience. Now, speaking at an NAR conference, and you've been there, Matthew, is not a very exciting opportunity. Because these are people that were sent to the convention. They're not like you folks that actually said, I want to be at the convention. These people were sent. So I'm speaking for 2 hours on an absolutely terrible topic on how to list for sale by owner. These are people that are boards of directors of the different boards of realtors, state associations. These are people that haven't listed and sold a home in probably 10 or 15 years. I have to do the talk I'm hired to do. Well, after I finish the talk, I get a standing ovation. Now, I am not an emotional speaker. I don't tell you stories to make you cry. In fact, in most cases, I tell you stories that make you mad. Because when people hear the truth, because see, truth is the discovery of reality. When you discover truth, you discover reality. When you discover reality, you discover truth. And I tell people all the time, if you want to discover reality, go up to your room tonight, turn all the lights on, lock the door, take off all of your clothes and stand in front of the mirror. Because that is reality. Nobody wants to see that on YouTube. Okay? Unless you say I was at the convention. Okay? So I speak to these people. They give me a standing ovation. Matthew, I walked off the stage, and it was a lady standing in the corner, and I said, hi. And she said, hi, I need to talk to you. She had a big thing of notes everywhere. I said, yes, ma'am, what is it? She goes, I want you to know that I'm the person that hired you to speak today. I said, well, thank you. I'm very honored that you hired me. Well, I want you to know you're never going to get hired back as long as you're alive. I said, well, you know, I'm planning on living a long time. What's the problem? She goes, well, I can't believe the things you said to this audience. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. They gave me a standing ovation, which means they liked it. Well, that doesn't matter. I didn't like it. And I'm having you banned permanently from NAR. I said, no, wait a minute. I want you to think about this. They loved it. You're banning me. She goes, well, let me tell you why I'm going to ban you. I said, okay. She says, you said that open houses are for the stupid, the dumb, the ignorant. I said, that's correct, I did. She said, you said farming is a complete waste of time. I said, no. I said, it's a complete, total waste of time. This isn't my first time at the party. She goes, well, I cannot believe that you would talk about the things that we created and presented. I said, so the stuff that I was putting down is your creation, is that correct? She said, yes, it is. I said, I have a solution. She said, what is it? Maybe you should be banned and I should be set free. Okay? Because I said, you're the cause of the problem. I said, here's what I told the audience. The per person productivity in real estate sucks. Nationwide, it's pathetic. If you take the total number of agents divided by the total number of transactions, believe me, being a greeter at Walmart pays more money on an annual basis than being in real estate. We've seen all the surveys. The average realtor makes $28,541 a year. That's for the 0.5% that answered the survey. The average real estate person, if they ever do a deal, it's a miracle. And if they do it on purpose, it's a double miracle. So I said, lady, don't tell me per person productivity is no good. I said, the average income of a real estate agent is terrible. The turnover is atrocious. The turnover in real estate, well, watch this. Keep the lights up, keep the lights up, get the lights up. Anybody in this room a year or less in real estate, raise your hands real high. Anybody at all? So I see some hands right in the front. I'm telling you, enjoy this convention. Based on the turnover in real estate, you're going to be gone in 3 to 6 months. Hardy. I live here in Las Vegas. I live across the street on the strip in a high-rise. I've seen you party, okay? But it's interesting because the trouble we have in real estate is we're all looking for a magic formula, a magic bullet, a magic answer, a magic wand, when the answer to selling real estate is talk to people. Talk to people. There's 3 ways to get business in real estate, period. A, I wait for people to find me. Now, what are the odds of the average person being found very often? That's why I tell agents all the time, most of you are what we call secret agents. You're going in disguise. And what do you do, sir? Well, I real estate now. What the hell are you thinking about? Your only job is to be in front of people because people, net bottom line, don't get mad, don't buy a home off Facebook. They don't buy a home off YouTube. They don't buy a home off what you've Twittered to them. They buy a home in face-to-face conversation because selling requires communication. Communication requires conversation. Conversation requires people talking to each other. Oh, you could take a listing sometime in your life. Well, let me ask you this question. How many of you have a goal to sell 4 to 5 homes per year? Raise your hands. So there's no hands up. Even the high-priced people like Christoph over here, who I know very well. Watch. You want to sell a lot, right? Yes or no? Yes. Then don't wait for people to find you. But the second way to get business is to buy business. And this fascinates me because buying business means you're going to overprice listings to take away from the competition. You're going to cut commissions to get the competition out of your life. And then you're going to do things like, listen to this one. I promise a lot of advertising. But no. Every listing known to mankind goes on the internet about 437 different ways. It's not like this is a new deal here. We're buying. And then, of course, I love this one. You see it right here on the strip. Bus benches put up by real estate agents. I have a theory on bus benches. When people ride a bus, they can't afford a car. And I'm going to tell you something. If they can't afford a car, they can't afford to buy a house from you guys and gals, let me tell you. Plus, they put their big butt right on your picture on the bus bench. If that's the memory you want to have, not good. But the third way to get business is to go out and talk to people. It's interesting, the 675 people I mentioned a minute ago, these people talk to an average of 25 people per day that they generate them from past clients, centers of influence, for sale by owners, expired listings, just listed, just sold. They're talking to people. Well, Mike, it's not my style to talk to people. Then get in a casket and wait. Because it's only a matter of time. I don't know if we have any, well, it's true. I don't know if we have any brokers in the room, but I tell brokers every day, buy a casket, put it by the front door. Every agent that acts dead, ask them to lie down. Hey, Bob! Bob, come here! I didn't do anything. I know, get in. When he gets out, that son of a gun's going to do something, let me tell you. How many want to make more money? Raise your hands real high. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Appreciate the return to the corner. And now, Matthew, it's your turn to take a shot. You've got 2 minutes.
Need I say more? I noticed that Mike brought some notes with him. Actually, so did I. I think it's about time that we Facebooked like a butterfly and stung with a tweet. And I think it's important to understand that while some things worked at one time, we might need a different strategy for the future. So I want to talk to you a little bit about selling in the future. And I agree that there's probably going to be a moment at which you'll go face to face, or belly to belly, as it's often told. But I think there's going to be a different strategy to get to that point, and that is found in the future. Now, maybe you don't actually know what the word future means. I actually think that the word future is an acronym. It's a word that actually contains within it the secret formula for what you need to be doing. Mike doesn't like secret bullets. He doesn't like secret recipes. But all around us are answers all the time. And I think the word future has the answers in it. Let me walk you through the acronym for future. First, the F stands for forward thinking. Are we thinking about moving forward in real estate, or are we thinking about rehashing the same old once again? I think when we ask our customers that, they're moving forward. Most of the customers last year were under the age of 45. What do we know about them? Well, let's see. 45% of those under 45 don't have a home phone. I wonder how we'll get on the phone to them. Well, we might call them on their mobile phone. Now I wonder, how many of you know a 20-something here in the room today? Raise your hand. Have you ever tried to call them on their mobile phone? You call, they don't answer. You call, they don't answer. You call, they don't answer. You text them. Poof, you get an instantaneous answer. So I want to know how a perfect stranger is going to say, that's the caller ID I want to answer. We must be thinking about the future because they don't speak on their phones. Why would we be sitting around speaking on the phone? Now the first U in the future also tells us something. It tells us we need to understand the customer. Not give the customer our way or the highway, but to understand what's going on in their lives. Social media is the perfect tool for this. Why do people list and sell their homes? Why do they buy homes? It's simple. Something happens in their lives. They get married, they get divorced. They have a kid, the kid goes to college. They get a job, nowadays they lose a job. And what happens in their lives doesn't end up on the party line of the mustard-colored kitchen phone. What happens in their lives ends up in Vegas, on Twitter, on Flickr, on Facebook, and all other forms of communication. Some of them even make videos of themselves and put them on that site that encourages them to, YouTube. Now, why would we not want to take advantage of that powerful insight into the brains of millions of potential customers? But let's go on. The T in future means target your communications. How are we going to target our message to the customer? Maybe we should start by what the customer has already told us. Let's see. Has the customer given us any indication as to how they don't want to be communicated to? Maybe you've heard of the do not call list. Now, if the do not call list isn't the greatest indicator of how they don't want to hear from us, maybe we should be seeking ways they do want to hear from us. Maybe we should learn to use some of the tools that they readily accept into their lives. It could be a blog, it could be an e-newsletter, maybe it's a Facebook page, maybe it's something we haven't even thought of. But I know these days that when my mother needs to consult with her trusted professional, the doctor, she can open up her laptop, turn on her Skype, and see him face to face. What happens when the listing presentation needs to be done face to face, but through your iPad? That's part of the future that we have to consider. Now we move to the second view of the future. This one is called universal sales. The world is smaller than ever before, not just because of technology, but frankly because of the world being smaller to travel to communicate to, and most importantly, to invest in real estate in. Think about your marketplace. Why are you part of a globally known brand? Because whether it's Las Vegas or Miami or Sydney or Singapore, people are investing in real estate from around the world. Last year, 25% of all the sales in Miami came from overseas. How are we going to find their phone numbers? How will we knock on their doors? How will we take them to lunch and sit around the fireplace sipping tea and talking about investment opportunities? It's not going to work that way in the future. In the future, you might have to text them, tweet them, blog them, video them. And you might also find a way to text, tweet, blog, and video to the agents in their marketplace as well. Now we come into the R of the future. What happens now is we actually get 2 for 1, a bonus letter for sales in the future. R means rapid. It also means referral. Let me do both with you. First, we are not new to the rapid concept. We know that consumers today go online, spend their days, their weeks, their months, and possibly their years online. Now, the question I have is, if someone's put that much time into their potential real estate transaction, are we willing to simply discard them if they're not quite ready to sign on the line the moment they come to you? Or are we ready to have a little stamina, a little persistence, and frankly, a little customer centricity? Because at the end of the day, isn't it their checkbook that we're hoping to have access to? So when we think about rapidity, we have to be able to respond to them, and if they call, we'll answer, but they're using so many other tools that we need to be prepared, whether it's simply email or sophisticated as Skype or a Facebook posting. And they will reward us. Last year, 60% of all buyers stuck to the first person who got back to them. Now we hope it's the best, but it's clear that first is important. And that's one of the R's of the future. But I'd also like to talk about the referral aspect of R in the future, because when you think about it, real estate will never stop being a referral business, so why wouldn't we try to tap into the largest potential sources of referrals? Here's a question for you, the audience. How many of you have reconnected with a past client, past customer, college friend, old school chum using any form of social media? Raise your hand. And how many of you have derived a prospective deal, a closed deal, a referral, or even a recruit from that same connection? You see, why wouldn't there be your presence in the biggest possible Reconnects cocktail party ever? Why would you give up the opportunity that simply catching up with someone that you forgot to call for a while, that you didn't send any letters to anymore, that you're not sure if they like your postcards anymore? Why would we pass up on that opportunity? And in the end, it comes down to the E in the future. Are you simply trying to go through numbers of deals, or are you trying to engage the marketplace? Are you trying to have a long-term relationship with people who will come back to you year after year, refer their children, refer their best friends? That's called engagement, not a process diagram that says, buy or die, get out of my car, I'm sorry, I'm still doing 65. What we need to be doing is building long-term relationships that drive down the other costs of our business and raise up the equal opportunities for us to derive future deals. Because in the long run, people don't want to be talked at. They want to be talked to. They would like to have their say. They want a dialogue that starts 6 months before they're ready to transact, so that they can build the trust in you as a person before you're a salesperson. Then after the deal, they want to know that it wasn't a hit and run and you're there for the long term. So it's about the future, ladies and gentlemen. And what is that future? It's forward thinking. It understands the customer. It is targeted to their methods of communication. It's universal in scope while we'll still sell locally. It rapidly responds and generates referrals. And most of all, it's one in which we're engaged. The question for you is, are you ready? And my challenge is, don't take so long, because your customers might decide for you. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me to sit on the ring. And
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 10 minutes, our champions will duke it out face to face. And by the way, guys, it's below the bell for just fine with this group. All right, guys, if I want to become a top producer in today's real estate market, what's the most effective strategy to develop my business? At the sound of the bell, come out swinging.
Fire away.
Mike, you want to start?
Fire away.
All right, I'll start. Here's the first thing I would do. Very simple. I'd make a list of everyone I have ever known, and I would get into contact with each one of them in any form of social media. I would reconnect with all my past friends, all of my sphere of influence, and I would just use it to listen what's going on in their lives.
I would do exactly the same thing, but I would ask him a simple question. Who do you know that wants to buy or sell real estate, which would surpass all the conversation that you're going to have, that you're wasting your time on with people who are never going to buy or sell real estate?
Well, it's possible that I could ask them if they knew anyone through using those same activities.
But not based on what you just said.
No, but the difference is this. I would have the opportunity not only to ask them a question, but also to listen to the rest of the interaction in their lives. So sometimes people don't necessarily have an answer to, do I know someone who's going to list or sell in the near time? But they might be telling us things that are going on in their lives. So we can be at the right place at the right time a little bit later on.
Well, the question asked is, what do you want to do? Do you want to build a business now? And the answer is you set a schedule that allows you to do lead generation like Matthew just talked about, and then you generate some kind of a lead, good, bad, right, or wrong, and then you learn to follow up on that lead, because you have to understand that the time is the only asset that you have. We don't have, and look at the age of the audience, they don't have a big future. You asked the question about how many people know somebody under 21 or 23 or 29, you notice how few hands went up. Because the truth is, the people that want to buy and sell real estate want to do it now. They don't want to do it in the future. So I'm going to work with people on setting a schedule, doing good lead follow-up, pre-qualifying people so they can buy or sell, making a very strong professional presentation, closing and handling objections so we can get a contract signed so they can make money and make their house payment.
But don't you make my argument for me. If there is a limited time in which we want to be successful, why would we do it one by one, by going to each person individually? Why wouldn't we use Twitter to search through hundreds of our contacts' lives, to be listening into on Facebook what's going on in terms of their future dreams, their needs?
They don't have the time for this. See, what we're missing here, Matt.
Well, I understand. How do they not have a few seconds a day to check their smartphone? I mean, well, maybe it's because their newspapers are so smart, but in the end, why wouldn't my iPad instantly alert me when someone is ready for some business?
It was on iPad.
It was on my iPad. It was on my iPad. That's the point. The point was it was on my iPad.
It was on all of our iPads. But the interesting part about that, Matthew, is see what we're forgetting about the economy. And that's a little detail we're leaving out of this whole bout is the economy. Most people don't have a lot of time to wait in the future today. In 2001, 2002, 03, 04, 05, the future was endless. We thought this would never end. Okay, but today it has ended. It has ended 5 years ago. We have to find a way to convert people into transactions today so these individuals, these brokers, this company, you and I, can get paid. Because that's what we're here for.
Why?
Just to help.
I don't understand the fatalism for the future. I don't understand why we wouldn't be building business that will become a transaction while doing this we have today. I don't see why a top producer wouldn't sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to be able to work both ends of the time spectrum, my short-term deal as well as my long-term deal.
I think it's a great idea. It just doesn't pay well.
Why would it pay well?
Because, see, I can sit down today, and believe me, every person in this room can do this. It is 6 o'clock on the West Coast. In the next 2 hours, every person in the West Coast could find somebody that wants to buy or sell in the next 2 weeks to a month if they choose to. But see, what we're propagating here is this theory that if we have this mass... See, I don't give a crap what kids that went to high school are doing today. That was 45 years ago. I don't even want to see them.
Well, why would you not care if people you went to high school today are looking for that real estate agent to help them with their time?
I want a person that wants to buy or sell.
But they are those people. The people who are buying today are the people your age who are saying there's no better time than ever.
I said to a group one day the following. I said, I'm not against cocaine. I just don't like the smell of it. Okay? We got to do a blood test here before this fight goes on, because in a real boxing match they do a blood test. okay? Because the reality is people have to make money today in real estate. And you and I agree on this. He and I have had many wonderful conversations coming up to today. This is why this is kind of fun, because we have to kind of fake being mad at each other.
Oh, no, I'm genuinely mad. You can speak that.
I've had 5,500 audiences. Everyone's been mad at me, so I'm used to that. I'm
Good to be home then.
I'm ready for audiences not mad. But see, the problem we have today is they have to earn income. Okay, now watch this. If I'm spending all my time, and I agree with you on the future. I mean, I'm 65. I'm looking forward to the next 35, 40 years. And there's a future there.
But you don't give them 35 or 40 years.
I've seen them work. Okay? They're killing themselves the way they're doing it. Okay? Because they're waiting for people to find them.
Oh, but why would that be the case with social media? I don't have to wait for anybody. I can purposely go to the page of 5 influencers every single day. See what's going on in their life. See that their child is preparing for graduation. What happens upon graduation of the last child that goes off to school? Someone your age is now an empty nester, which is the perfect primary reason why they would be selling.
This is the same example you gave a minute ago. Hold your applause. Listen.
Let's throw your tomatoes.
It's a rubber suit. Who cares? The example you gave a minute ago about in Miami Beach, they come from, well,
25% of all deals are international deals.
Yeah, but what about Illinois, and what about Oklahoma, and what about North South Dakota, Minnesota? See, these are the real people in the real estate business. They're not getting leads out of the internet from Miami Beach. Because, see, Miami Beach, we have some of the best customers. We have Miami Beach, Beverly Hills, like Christoph sitting over here, all over these top-end markets. That's fine. But it's the real people working every day that have to make a deal today.
So the Miami Real Estate Association is not full of real people. It's not, I was just there 2 weeks ago.
I live there. I know it's not real people. You're talking to a Ferry in Miami Beach.
I think the real estate agents of international gateway cities would probably not agree with you. I think that if you're
most people
to close off the opportunity because a small town, little house on the prairie style still works the old-fashioned way, you know, I would remind you, it kind of reminds me of that old play I had in high school. What was it? Oh, Death of a Salesman. We can't
Did I say we should?
Well, you're saying we certainly shouldn't.
Well, now there's a difference between whether they should or they shouldn't, isn't there? Or do you know the difference?
I do know the difference.
Because then you should clarify that, okay? Because that could be a trigger point. And then I would have to knock you out. Okay? Because see, the problem is, Matt, we're only missing one point here. I agree that they have a future. But the trouble, the future is now in the real estate business today. Those guys running this company, they need income. These brokers in this audience need income. These agents need income. We can't be sitting around. And I agree. That's why we teach past clients, centers of influence, contact them 4 times a year, whether it be by any method they think of. We preach that 100%. I've preached that for 35 years. My original cassette programs talked about that first. But they need money today, Matthew. You and I are bright people. You're a bright guy. I've said this to many people. This guy is smart. Let's help them find income today. And they've all said they want to make a lot more. What's the word I said? Money! Let's help them do that now.
Well, let me ask the crowd. How many people have made any money through their social media activities?
You asked
anybody?
You asked
I think there's the opportunity to make money.
That was 5% of the audience. Don't bullshit a bullshitter. That was 5% of the audience. Now watch this question. How many need to make more money now? Raise your hands real high.
That's who needs to make money. I asked who did make money.
And it was 5%.
You can have a lot of people lined up with need. I'm talking about cashing the check from a social media engagement. That's where it comes from.
And it's the same 4 people screaming when they fail.
That's what a sphere is what it is.
There's a bunch of fairies running around. I could have brought them all to the seminar. Okay. So Matthew, here's the good news. I believe what you believe. I believe that we have to build every avenue for building a business. But I believe that people need income faster than what you may believe. And I'm not saying that you don't think they need income. I'm thinking they need income a lot sooner. See, when you talk to as many agents as we talk to 100,000 agents a year in our seminars. These people need income. And if you can do that for them, I support you 110%. And all I ask in return is the same support.
Well, Mike, I would agree with you that people need income, and I would also agree that they need to make it today. I would just simply disagree that the way to do it was designed 25 years ago. The customer of the future needs us to work the way they're going to live.
How many people want to do a lot of business or a little? A lot. Well, you ain't going to do it the way he's saying it.
But how many people want to work all day talking to a voicemail machine?
Who said they had to? Well, that's right. There's no answer. See you tomorrow.
Hardcore salesman.
Customer devices, go ahead and tally your scorecards. Who landed the most punches? Was it the Beantown Brawler, Matthew Ferrara? Was it the Sin City Slugger, Mike Ferry? Text your choice. Using the instructions behind me, you have 10 seconds to vote. Your votes will be instantly tabulated, and may the best fighter win. Okay. The results are in. Gentlemen, thank you for a fair fight. Under the rules of the Real Estate Boxing Commission, after 3 rounds by audience vote, we have a split decision. Judges note that either business strategy is the right way to build your business, as both are ultimately about the same thing: making consistent contacts, developing trust, and building loyalty for life. So guys, you're both winners once again.